start the Blue Earth County Board of Commissioners meeting on November 21st. I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have the agenda review.
Mr. Chair, there are no changes to the agenda today.
Move to approve. Second.
Second, any discussion, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. All right, we have at this time public comment period with Mr. Bernie Lindberg. Bernie, if you'd want to come forward and give your name and address, and if you can try to keep your remarks to 3 minutes, that would be good. And
My name is Bernie Lindberg. I live at 410 Sibley Parkway, apartment 106 here in Mankato.
Morning, Bernie.
hi, Bernie.
Good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Commissioners. I'm here to address you today about AMV, American Mobility Vans, and what I've found out the last few years. It also has to do with my sister as well, Colleen Lindberg. Over the years, she was supposed to have gotten quite a few rides from AMV. However, the few rides that she did get, which were 3, 2 of them were from, well, pardon the expression, they were from hell. The van that she got was a van when she, on one ride, had a back seat to it, but on the way home did not. It had a jump seat which she could not fit on, and according to one of the 2 drivers that I know for AMV, it was illegal for them to have her riding on that jump seat because there is no seat belts, no restraints, nothing. So she had to brace herself on the way home, and that hurt her knees and her legs. The second ride that she got was a ride from Eastridge going home, and the guy turned and went down the wrong way. This was the second or third ride that I know of for two other people who also went the wrong way. Another one beside Madison Avenue was 169. The van turned and went the wrong way down the highway, which could have caused an accident. It could have cost lives. People could have gotten hurt. Thank God it never happened. Along with that, they have this thing called day of service. And most of the people who I know who are in wheelchairs, day of service means no service. What happens is you call the day of, and they tell you, oh, well, we're too sorry. Our drivers have all got their assignments from the day before. So they can't take you. And it's happened to more than just Colleen. There's at least 2 other people who I know of who have been denied service and put on day of service. And every one of them has complained to AMV. Either they gotten tipped out of their wheelchair, or they had a ride from hell. So AMV has this thing, their general manager, the woman in charge, that I'm going to get my little revenge on you. You complain, guess what? You can't go. One more thing with them is they will not go over to New Ulm. They've given 2 different explanations for this. One, they don't have enough drivers, which I know is not true, because I know some of the drivers. And 2, they can't pick up other rides in New Ulm. And I found out from Alina, the reason why they can't is because they've dropped people and never picked them up. They never took them to their destinations. So of course, they're not going to get the people over there Alina's found out. Alina said, no, we don't want you to take our patients over here to Alina. We'll arrange other transportation. This is the first time I've ever heard of anyone who's actually taken their positions as mandated reporters seriously. Nobody at Mayo has, nobody at McKilpack has, nobody at Open Door has. As a matter of fact, Open Door, when they called for Colleen to get a ride up to the hospital for some medical test, nope, can't do it. Well, you don't have to do it right now, anytime within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Nope, won't do it.
Mr. Chair, that is 3 minutes.
Is it 3 minutes?
Sorry.
That's all right, if you want
I'm
to
not
wrap it
using
up.
for a microphone.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Well, we appreciate hearing from you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's important
Yeah.
that we know what's going on out in the community.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know if anybody has any comments or we have any questions about it. What do you
I think we direct staff.
We have to direct it, with the Data Processes Act, Privacy Act, we
careful. Yeah, we
can't
have to be careful.
really deal with it publicly, but we'll make sure the proper people, and with your concerns and what you have in the letter, get to the
Okay.
staff, county staff, and that we see what there can be done.
Because they're your vendor.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep, you bet.
Thank you, Bernie.
You bet.
Thanks
Thanks,
for
Bernie,
coming.
thanks for coming.
Thank
It
you.
was great to see you.
Yeah,
It's always wonderful to see you, Mr. Commissioner.
yeah.
Take care of
You
yourself.
guys have a terrific Thanksgiving.
You
And
too.
you. Yeah,
I
thank
like the hat.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go on then to, I guess we have a little bit of time, Commissioner reports. Let's start again with Will.
Okay. On the 13th, I had a detox meeting and basically talked with some of the struggles that we're having with finances this year. It looks like we will finish up the year with a loss. A lot of that comes from there just aren't as many patient days as there have been in the past, so we're working through that. Of course, we had the work session on the 14th. Good session. We'll hear about quite a bit of that later on, I think. On the 15th, we had the Rural Minnesota Energy Board conference call, putting the finishing touches on our budget for 2018. Things look pretty good there. On the 16th, Kip and I had the Extension Advisory Committee, and of course we did the employee evaluations this year, which is always a treat. We got good staff working there, and it's great to give them good evaluations. Then on the 17th, I attended Judge Walker's retirement reception up at the Criminal Justice Center. Great to see a lot of the folks up there that I hadn't seen for quite a while, and wish the judge well in retirement. And then yesterday I was over at Detox again. Phil and Angie were there from Worth County, and we were talking about maybe some uses for the juvenile detention area that might benefit the Yellow Line project, as well as benefit the Brown County Evaluation Center. And that's my report, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks, Will. Kip, your report?
After the last board meeting, we had the employee appreciation program, which I thought went really well, seemed to be fairly well received. Then the next day I was up to Micah. Got a lot of things going on up there. They're getting geared up for the new session coming up. We're starting to work on our new campaign formats that we're going to work with the legislators on. We got through 3 of them last week, and we'll be doing 3 or 4 for the next couple months. Then I was at SWCD, had a lot of good conversation about the projects they're working on this year, getting them wrapped up. They had a good year, got some nice projects on the ground, but they're still struggling with having enough staff to try to administer all this stuff, so there's a lot of discussion about that. Then I had planning and zoning. We had a few items on the agenda. We'll see that at the end of this month. Pretty straightforward stuff. Then several of us were at the Soups with the Troops, which was up at the Armory, which was a great turnout. They had several different kinds of chilies that they were serving, and then we ventured over to the Vietnam services also. So that was nice to get down and see Commissioner McLaughlin, who does a great job with the Vietnam Memorial. Then I was at an MVAC Head Start policy meeting, a group of about 20 parents that just kind of help set the format for the policies for Head Start. A very interesting meeting, about 20 or 25 parents there, but they also provide daycare. So we have 20 parents there meeting, and right next door they bring about 18 to 20 kids. So it makes for a different dynamic of a meeting, but the chair did a great job keeping things in order, and they have a lot of stuff to discuss. And it was interesting to watch how that works, and I just go to those once in a while as part of my committee assignment through MVAC. Then we had our work session, had several things on the agenda, had a good conversation about the building and some budget stuff. Then several of us were also at the Greater Mankato Growth Business not after hours, but the Business Awards Banquet. I heard somebody say they had over 400 people that came to that, so that was a good turnout. Jonathan does a great job getting people to come to that, and it was nice to see all the awards get given out. Had our EMS meeting, our bi-monthly meeting. Everything's going pretty well with EMS. Our seatbelt money is drying up, so we're just struggling with trying to keep enough funding. But we did get some money through a child restraint system grant, so we were able to get that going, and we'll hopefully be able to hire some staff to help Mark and that organization get a few more things done. They're still getting everything done, but they're just getting spread a little thin. When you have to deal with trying to get funding opposed to doing your job, it's always a struggle. So, and then as Will mentioned, we did the extension evaluations and I had our meeting. I was also at Judge Walker's retirement party. It was nice to see him and wish him well, and I no more than was ready to leave, and he said, "Say, now that I'm not a judge anymore, we need to talk about some farmland that I got out in the rural area."
That in my district.
Yeah, I think I said that's in Will's district. Talk to Will. So.
Good for you.
And then last night I had our regular MVAC board meeting with our committee assignments first, and then our regular meeting afterwards, and things are going well up there, and we have our save the date for our soup dinner on 3/10/18 this year. So we've gotten a table in the past, so I will be visiting with you guys later to see if we still want to try to do that again this year. They are always excited when we come, so that's my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Kip. Looks like Drew, take a couple minutes.
Sure, I can try to keep it short. Of course, we had our board meeting on November 7th and luncheon at Buster's. Our fall employee recognition event, I think that went well, as Kip said. I went to the Greater Mankato Growth on November 7th also. They had that business after hours at the Mayo up there. So it's nice to hear what was happening up there. They're doing a lot of things. In fact, right now, for 2 weeks, maybe they're about done, they're changing over their systems. And 1,200 people are working on those issues.
Huh.
So about half of them, I think, are in Mankato. So there's a lot of people around working with Mayo to get their system changed over to a new.
Whenever you go to Mayo right now, you got all these people with these green vests on.
Yeah.
I know I had an appointment up there. I said, "What's that?" Well, they're all working on the IT.
Yep. So I think our,
See, and they're swarmed around that hospital.
yeah, they're all over, and they got them in Rochester and I believe a couple other smaller locations. But I think there's hundreds and hundreds of them here in Mankato, and so I'm sure our hotels are fairly full, which they're probably happy.
Well, that's a training building for the whole computer system.
Oh, okay.
That building was built first off for a training.
Oh, really?
In fact, my doctor, you can't see him as much because Fleming is one of those architects that are
okay.
working on it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting to hear about it. You know, the system changeovers, you know, how that, with IT being so important these days, it just takes a lot. And how you can empathize with that. So, the 9th, I missed mayors and clerks with some of you that attended, but I did go to the County Human Services Advisory Committee meeting. A lot of times there's a conflict. I think they meet a lot of times at the same time as mayors and clerks, and so made the choice to go there. It's nice to plug in there and hear the reports, you know, firsthand from the mental health and what's the other committee that reports?
Social services.
Social services. And then they also gave a staffer, trying to think of her name, she gave her an update on the intake system process for, you know, the child protection case management that we do here for the county, and how those things have changed a little bit, and that it's quite a complex system that they've developed. November 10th was a very special day. That was Commissioner Campbell's birthday. So I spent some time with family. November 11th, rake the town. I usually help with that, so I did on Saturday morning. They raked a lot of places and was able to get a van, and I picked up a few of the work release guys from the jail, and we worked hard that day, and it worked out well. The 13th, let's see here. Went to a meeting on daycare issues in the evening. There was a Senator Frentz was there, Representative Clark Johnson, Representative Jack Considine, and probably 25 providers. Some were daycare centers, and some were out of their homes. A lot of issues to deal with there that they really need some help with, I think. And hopefully the county might be able to help with some of these issues. Work session, of course, on the 3rd, let's see here, the 14th. And then after the work session, which we had got a good update on the building progress over here from ISG. Major program that's going to happen there, but I have one up to care providers in the Twin Cities. My wife works with long-term care, so I attended part of their conference. I couldn't go to the whole thing through till Wednesday. RAC call in. I heard Vance on the phone too. Judge, let's see here. And then I went to the Judge Bradley Walker's retirement on Friday. And neighborhood association meeting yesterday, so everything kind of clicked along. You know what I mean? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Drew.
Yeah.
All right, it's past 9:15. Mr. Craig Austenson will come up for with drainage.
Hi, Craig.
Hi, Craig.
Morning, Craig.
Good morning. How are you?
I got two things here today, both in dealing with levies. First one is our single-year levies. So we're recommending this from your board packet here. We're recommending the approval of the following new single-year levies payable in 2018. And you can see two-page list on all those. Okay.
Need a motion to
Yep,
approve?
we need a motion. Yep.
Second?
Been moved in second. Any discussion, questions? Drew?
Yeah, I'm just curious how you come up with these levies, Craig. Is it done with the commissioners
Yes.
sitting
Yep.
together?
Yeah,
We
we
sit
have
down
a
with the administrator, Craig, Ryan, Michael, from the assessor's office, Commissioner Purvis, and myself, and we go through each one of them one by one.
I'm there too.
Oh, and Mark. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah,
That's
Mark.
right.
He's always forgetting this rural
yeah.
guy.
So it's a posted meeting?
Yep.
Yeah.
Posted?
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Okay.
Yep, we sit down, we go through each ditch
you
one
all
by one,
both-
talk about it, what we think the
We
future's
have
gonna
this
be.
issue with no ditches in our districts.
No, that's what I'm asking. I think I have some hidden ditches in mine. They run under houses.
Stormwater.
I think
Stormwater.
mine were all taken.
You've got old sewer systems in yours, some of your old
Yeah.
sewer systems.
Oh, I'm just curious. It's good to know how,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's good to say something, I think, about it. That's why sometimes I ask, because I just think it's good to, if somebody ever watches, you know, they go, it just kind of goes boom,
Like,
boom,
well,
boom.
where'd that happen?
Yeah.
Nope,
It's
I
just nice-
was
it's just nice to
gonna
hear how
summarize,
good
I was
work
gonna
that
summarize
goes into this.
I was gonna summarize our meeting, that's all right.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we're good. But it takes us quite a while, about 90
yeah.
minutes to get through it, so.
So I don't need to ask that on the other one then too? You do the same thing for both of them?
Yep,
Yep.
all the same
Yep,
thing.
yeah.
All right, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. Okay, multi-year.
And the second one is that this is for all our multi-year levies. And again, the summary is found in your board packet, so unless you have questions, I won't go into detail.
I'll move approval.
A second, moved and second. Any questions this time, Drew?
Well, I'm sure, do you guys do that at the same meeting, or do you have a separate meeting for these multi-year ones?
Well, same meeting.
Same meeting.
Some of this stuff is kind of carryover from the years before. So it's more just what do we talk about with some of the new ones.
And this is separate from damages and everything else, this is just strictly the assessments.
This is
that-
the assessments, damages and stuff, and how we actually come up with these assessments is a little more complicated
Yeah.
as far as, because we have to take damages into consideration when we actually make the levies, and actually, we'll go for the bonds and things like that.
Okay.
You gentlemen out there have any questions? They're here, they said they're here, Craig, you should talk to them.
Yeah.
They're here for drainage.
Okay.
They're students from up at the
There-
U of M.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Nice.
So, thank you for being here, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have,
Yeah, we do.
I mean,
Got a motion in a second.
well, I know we have that, but we're all set? Okay, no further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. Thank you. Thank you, Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
All right,
If those young gentlemen do want to talk with Craig, his office is right
Yeah.
around the corner before you go.
Yep.
Craig and Brian.
Right here.
Around the corner.
you can go
Does
through
all our
that door
drainage.
even.
Does all of our drainage stuff, so you'd have some input if you want some questions or something for him. We'd be happy to accommodate you.
He's our expert.
We have 10 minutes, I suppose we could,
Finish reports?
reports, Vance. Don't take all 10 though. Give me just a couple. Okay, thank you.
Administrative services.
Yeah.
After the board meeting, I also attended the employee recognition event. That was a good event. All of us showed up. On November 8th, I had Transportation Alliance annual meeting up in St. Cloud. I don't know if I was privileged or whatever, but they elected me president this year.
Yes, congratulations, yeah.
So I'll be president next year in 18 for the Transportation Alliance.
Amazing.
November 9th, I had a Highway 169 Corridor Coalition meeting. On the 11th, I had a Veterans Day observations, just like a lot of us did. I went to the Korean War, the Veterans Memorial, and the Vietnam vets. And I think both Mark and Kip, I know, were there, and Pat. So on November 12th was my birthday, and I'm older than you, so just remember that. All right, on November 11th, I had our Magic meeting, which is our finance stocks meeting up in St. Cloud. On November 14th, we had a board work session. I then attended the Children's Museum board meeting, had a call in for NACO Transportation, and then went to the Greater Mankato Business Awards with many of us here. On November 16th, I had our TDS board meeting, and then the RAC call-in. I know Drew, I heard Drew on there. Good meeting. I think it was good with the points that me and you both brought up about, you know, there was questions that weren't answered that weren't being brought out that we made them bring out. So that was good. And then I had an Alliance, Transportation Alliance Executive Board meeting on November 17th. So I had a busy couple weeks, but it was all good.
Yeah, congratulations
it.
again.
Good.
All right, got a couple minutes. Yeah, after we had the employee recognition, then November 9th had our annual meeting for Partners Affordable Housing. I actually just elected the officers again, and I guess I'm president again for another year. So,
Well, congratulations.
yeah, it's a lot of work. Rewarding work. Then we had mayors and clerks that Will and I were at, and Pat was at. Yeah, Pat was there. We carried the load with all the rest of you not there, but that's, you know, we could handle it, but it was tough. Then we had we had work session, and that week of the 14th, that's Homeless Awareness Week, and so for partners we were doing a few things like putting up, well, I want to say mannequins, I guess, but
All
you
around
found
town.
all over town. You saw them at churches. I had my Jeep full of these people. I called them pop people in the back, and I'd pull them out, and yeah.
I think they were well received. I had a few comments on them.
It's good.
I
Yeah,
think
to
they
get some
were well
awareness.
received.
We also stood on some corners like Victory and Madison Avenue intersections, and had signs and had didn't have the mannequins, but had posters with people on them that, you know, promoting their making people aware of Homeless Week. And it was really cold the day I did it last, when was it, Tuesday, whatever, last week. It was like today. And then we had the, let's see, Gaburba I had on Friday. Oh, yeah, Gaburba. Well, the also the business, for the business awards get together banquet. That was at that one too, and that, like I said, was a lot of people were there. And then Gaburba I had Friday morning the 17th. That was our policy and technical meeting, and went pretty well. Yeah, concludes. So good.
We still
we
got a
could-
few minutes.
Yep, we could do some
should we do the
administrative.
county minutes.
We could do the minutes. Anybody
I'll move
I'll
the
move the
minutes.
move the minutes?
Second.
It's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. Now let's try the bills.
I'll move the bills.
Second.
Bills have been moved and second on the bills. Any questions? No questions on the bills?
Nope.
Well, this would be a first.
I know.
Oh. Bob, you're just doing too good, I guess, because, you know
You guys gotta
that.
stop leaning on me.
Yeah. All right.
Are you
I'll-
getting a complex there, Drew?
Oh, man.
All right, all those in favor of paying the bills, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. Okay, then I guess the human
That
resources.
had to be a first, that was.
Informational on human resources.
Oh, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 3 in your packet is the Human Resources Department agenda. We just have informational items for you this morning. We have filled a 911 dispatcher. This is a part-time position up in the sheriff's office. We also had a public health nurse that completed employment, and so we've initiated recruitment to refill that position. And we also had a custody officer complete their employment, and so we've initiated recruitment on that position as well.
So completed employment, that's,
I know, I saw that too.
is that
It's a euphemism.
getting away from saying they
Resigned.
resigned?
These were involuntary situations, yes.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Moving on. Yeah, we actually could probably try that.
All right.
Poor
Item
Farm
number-
bid results.
Sure. Item number 4 in your packet, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, is bid results for the county Poor Farm. You may recall that a month ago we asked you to reject bids because the one bid we received did not reach our minimum requirement. So we did rebid it. We adjusted our minimum requirement, and we again received one bid from Triple R Pork LLC, Robert Roloffs down in Garden City, at $205 an acre, and so we're recommending approval of this lease to Triple R Pork.
I move we accept the bid.
Second.
Been moved second. Any questions, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. All right. I think we have,
2 more minutes, you can get her done.
did we get it done? There we go. Okay, municipal storm sewer system ordinance, public hearing. We have to set the date. December
That's correct,
5th.
Mr. Chair. We've recommended December 12th, 2017 at 10:10 a.m. for that public hearing.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved in second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. Okay, then we have the, just
I got
information.
9:30.
You got 9:30?
Yeah, 9:29.
Oh, here again, my watch. I said, all right, we'll go with your watch, man. All right.
You want me to buy you a new watch?
No, I just told you what happened. I didn't probably set it quite. That's off a minute from the change of time there. All right. Let's go to then planning and zoning with George.
Morning, George.
Good morning, George.
Good morning, George.
Morning, George.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
PC 21-17 is a request from Bradley and Eileen Anderson. It is a request for review and approval of a conditional use permit to transfer the residential development right from the southwest quarter of the northwest quarter to the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter, all located in Section 7 of Judson Township.
Bless you.
The property is zoned agricultural. Mrs. Sando presented the staff report. The applicants were represented. The representative indicated she hopes to purchase a buildable site from the owners with the intention of someday constructing a home on the property. There was no public comment and little discussion by the Planning Commission. Following the discussion, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to forward to the County Board a recommendation of approval based on the findings prepared by staff, and the board action is a resolution.
All right, I'll take it back here to open it up for public comments. On PC 21-17, anybody wishing to come forward to talk, state name and address. Again, for the second time, anybody wishing to make a comment on PC 21-17. And for the third time, if anybody wishes to make a comment on PC 21-17, please come forward. Hearing none, resume, bring back to the board here and have a motion.
I'll move
discussion.
approval.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Discussion, questions?
Sounds like it was pretty straightforward, there's no issues.
No.
I always look to you for some reason. Okay.
Well, this is one of those items that we do at planning and zoning, and I certainly would support moving this back to just an administrative thing. This is
I
going
would
through the
too.
conditional use permit. It is just a very routine process, and so we're having some discussions about that very issue, because we do several of these a year. It takes staff a lot of time to put this report together, it comes to them, it comes to us, so you might be hearing more about this in the future, because I think this is good business for our constituents to let this be a streamlined, very straightforward and policy decision that's already been made, and the staff does a great job administering it. So I certainly will support that in the future, and you'll see that coming forward. So.
I would
Okay.
too.
All right. I'll hear you none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Can I ask
Thank
a
you.
question,
Yeah,
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
I just noticed, I mean, they had the minutes in here too in the report for today. You know, the minutes from the Planning Commission. And I just didn't know what, this is back, it says there will be a study review committee, SRC meeting on November 9th. And then it'll be followed by a public information meeting on January 4th of 2018. And a final study review committee meeting on February the 7th. So I don't know what that is. I was just wondering. if you
Okay,
could tell
that's
us.
all with the land use plan review and update?
You mean the one that they've been working on all year long?
Correct. And the
Is that-
study review committee is made up of citizens from the county and some commissioners, or one commissioner is on there. And it's just guiding the process and reviewing the information that is provided to us by SRF. SRF is the consulting.
Right, I remember they came on when it started, and they had public meetings, and I actually was wondering if that was related. I didn't know because I hadn't heard any updates.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's been,
So
I don't know, 6 months since the last time I really heard
it's
it.
nearing the end. Yeah, we're anticipating receiving a draft here in December, a draft land use plan in December. It will be reviewed by the study review committee.
Oh.
And then provided for a public input meeting. I think that's the January 4th, but that actually may have been moved to a later date in January.
Are we invited to go to that too, or should we just show up as a citizen, or as a
Sure.
board member? Do we get any kind
I've
of
been to all of them
notification?
except one. I've been to all the public hearings that
I've
we've
been to
had.
several of them.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I mean, do we get like a copy of the draft then or something as a board?
Yeah, I'm not sure at what point, but yes, you definitely will get a copy of the
I
draft.
thought I seen
I'll
an
make-
email
I'll see
already
to
from
it.
Aaron that the draft was out, or that something, I'll look later.
Is it
Drew, but
online?
You should have got it. No, I know it's just some dates from Aaron, but
Oh.
Yeah, the draft hasn't been released yet.
It
Yeah.
hasn't?
No.
it's just some dates of when it was going to be released.
Yeah.
Okay. I was waiting. I was actually going to write a letter to Bob like this weekend and ask him what's the update situation on the land use planning project that we started a long time ago. With
And
this.
that was actually when I reported on the P and Z. I had P and Z down.
Yeah.
I've had so many P and Z meetings this week. That was the land use plan, but
Oh.
I didn't figure that out until after the
Oh.
meeting. So that's the one that George is referring to. But it
Okay.
was kind of just a wrap-up meeting. And now those dates are out there for the public hearing, and then we will hear that. And we've changed those dates, as George said, so.
Okay, yeah. Because I reviewed that. They gave us a timeline, remember?
Yep, and
How
we
things are
extended it a
gonna
little
happen.
bit. It was supposed to
I
be
was
done this
wondering.
month. We were
Yeah.
gonna try to have it done this month by the end of the year, but
Oh.
we just, there's just too much to get done, and we didn't want to rush it, so.
Okay.
We decided to put it off till after the holiday season, so we
It'd
can
be
get more public input, because
Yeah.
the public input hasn't been outpouring at this point.
It
But
hasn't.
that's all right, we'll work through that.
Yeah.
you know,
if it goes according to plan, I would assume that the final draft will be coming to the Planning Commission and the County Board in February.
Okay. Should that, I think it went out on our website page originally way back, but should we put it out again for people to click in and be able to give some feedback? Or
We've been going over that, how best to get the public involved in the final draft review.
yeah,
And the people that submitted the online surveys, they will be contacted. They'll be sent emails asking or advising them of the public meeting.
Okay.
And then everybody that came to the public meetings, that they too will be. There was 4 regional meetings
Yeah.
and 1 open to the public meeting. And so basically there's been 5 public meetings to this point. The regional meetings were the 4 quarters of the county. And all those participants would be sent a letter or an email telling them when that public meeting will be again.
Okay.
Yeah, try to continue that involvement.
yeah.
And some of the discussion around the public meeting, I think, went really well, and we're still gonna shoot for the Garden City area with an evening meeting, because that's centrally located, or Good Thunder, excuse me, Good Thunder, because that's centrally located in the county. That'll be an
Okay.
evening meeting. And we had a lot of discussion about, well, that's not in the populous part of the county, but we will be having a public hearing at the Planning and Zoning meeting in this building right here on an evening, and then we will also see it, being us as a county board, we'll have another public hearing during the day in this area also. So I think we're getting our bases covered with trying to move around and accommodating people evenings, days. So I think we're doing our duty here to get out to the people. A lot of discussion about those dates and when. So
Yeah, I'm just curious what changes have been made or ideas that have come forward. I'm just kind of curious about, is there any additions that we haven't had before, is there any, all those kind of things I'm kind of curious about.
yeah,
It was mostly obtaining feedback.
yep.
Right. Yep.
And-
It just hasn't been released yet because we're not quite there yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you,
All
George.
right, thanks, George, thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
Okay, Public Works, Mr. Ryan?
Morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Morning, Ryan.
Thank you for giving me a few minutes here this morning to run through a couple of items. First order of business is a resolution authorizing the sale. As you recall, we had a small parcel of land that was subdivided or was platted in order for a property to be saleable, to have additional space for a septic mound. Proper public notices were placed. We received 1 bid for the 0.08 acre parcel from Mr. Samuelson of Samuelson Hardwoods in the amount of $1,600, which would equate to approximately $20,000 per acre when you calculate that out. I would approve that we authorize the sale of the parcel as is documented in the resolution that's in your board packet.
All right.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and second on the motion. Any discussion, questions?
Who seconded it?
I'm sorry.
did-
yeah, I
oh, I
only
thought-
motion from Vance.
I'll second it.
Oh, I thought, okay, that's right, it was just Vance, yeah, who did? Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any,
This has been here quite a few times, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, we've talked about this a couple.
that's probably any questions, Ryan, or anything? All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries.
All right, thank you for that. The second action item that we have, and final action item, is a resolution for agreement to State Transportation Fund Local Bridge Replacement Program for State Aid Project 007605-15. MnDOT now requires that when we use local bridge replacement funding, we enter into a grant agreement with the state. The project total cost for the replacement of the 3 bridges on County Road 5 is estimated, based on the low bids, to be $885,781.70. Of that, half of the bridge costs will be paid by the state local bridge replacement funding in the amount of $301,812.50 will be the amount of the grant that we'll receive from the state of Minnesota. So this is just a resolution authorizing the county to enter into this agreement and for myself to be the authorized person to sign the agreement with the state of Minnesota for that funding. Make a motion.
Second.
You might moved and second. Any discussion?
Sounds like a good deal.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Thanks for all your work on this.
Getting that.
Yep.
Been a little while. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries.
All right, great.
Thank you.
And on a note on
Anything?
that project, we will be closing the road next Monday to begin construction on the southerly bridge. So
Now, I
press release
need-
was just sent out today.
So I need an alternative.
For those people, hope it's not a big surprise.
We sent a letter out about a week ago to inform them as well, people within the travel shed.
Yeah.
So there
That's along the
some
route?
that don't read it or catch
Yeah.
it, but
How far down do you go with the notices? Just on
we
5?
went effectively from the south bridge and the people that abut it all the way to the north, and even grabbed a few people that live along the road in LeSueur County, north of the North County Line Bridge.
Okay, well, I'll know to take a different route myself. to
And we've had
St.
portable
Peter.
changeable message
Yeah.
signs up since Monday, as
Okay.
well, since yesterday.
All right.
So that has been up for a week. Thanks
Nice.
to the
Good.
deferred equipment funding.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right. We're moving right along here. We got Phil and Human Services. My goodness.
Morning, Phil and Jay. How you guys
Good
doing?
morning. Oh, and Jay's with you today, so we have the full show. Yep. And the better half, I mean, yeah. We haven't seen you for a while. We haven't seen the better half for a while, Jay.
You know, we're kind of busy.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking time to come talk to us, Jay.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, thank you for seeing us today. I want to not forget to wish you and your families a happy Thanksgiving.
You also.
You also.
Thank you very much.
I have some action items to bring before the board today. The first of those under public health, just one item there. And Child and Teen Checkup is a contract and a service we've been providing for years and years. Outreach for children birth through age 20 enrolled in medical assistance. Barriers include such things as access to health care, limited English proficiency, transportation, and any other barriers that come up for individualized families and people. It is a renewal. The 2018 funding is $174,370, which is a 7.3% increase from 2017. Term is January 1st of 18 through December 31st of 18.
I'll make more, or you're gonna just go through all of them?
You put them all.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Behavioral health unit, a couple items there. City of Mankato, this is a transportation contract for individuals in need of detox. We've had this contract in place for years as well. It really is a backup contract for transport. It reflects a 3% increase from $72.54 per hour to $74.72 per hour. Mileage also at the IRS rate. The term is January 1st of 18 through December 31st of 18. Also related to detox, Brown County Evaluation Center. Brown County Evaluation Center obviously provides our statutory mandate for detox to our citizens in Blue Earth County. They're our primary resource for these services. The daily rate has increased from $375 to $411 per day, which reflects a 12.6% increase. I will say that that is a big increase, but the per diem is still very reasonable compared to other detox rates. The term of this agreement, January 1st of 18 through December 31st of 18. Finally, there's a couple items in financial assistance. The first of those is a little complex in that we have an umbrella agreement called the Biennial Service Agreement. And if you look at the end of that first paragraph, you'll see an amount of $791,000. That's the umbrella agreement that includes things that we provide, such as emergency assistance and our admin costs. Embedded in that is a amount of $556,000. That is the amount that we subcontract to MRCI for employment and training services. And so the increases in both of those, overall it was $50,000. $10,000 of that went to the MRCI contract. And the term is January 1st of 18 through December 31st of 18. None of this is new, but that overarching plan is now electronically submitted, so this is the only chance we really have to bring it before the board and just talk about how it's structured, big umbrella, and then the carve out from the subcontract to MRCI. And then in a very similar way, the last item under financial assistance is the MRCI contract for SNAP employment training. So the first one was regarding when people are on cash assistance, they're offered employment and training services as part of their plan as if they're out looking for work. And then the second contract is the same, only it relates to people who are getting the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, that's SNAP. And again, focused on finding and keeping employment for those receiving food assistance. This is a much smaller amount at $12,288. I think that is it for those. I just wanted to say that on both of these, the expectation is that people participating in these follow through on their plans. So that's been in place for a number of years, as have these contracts all been in place for a number of years, trying to help those families in need. And that's it for the action items I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks, Phil. Do we have a motion to approve? And
Second.
Is there a second? Motion approved and second. All those, any discussion? Go ahead.
So the MFIP and this, even probably SNAP, I'm not sure, but some of this stuff, it's not just counties, this is the one that goes through Blue Earth County Employment Services possibly. Is that where a lot of it goes through?
Right, so the umbrella, we receive this big allocation, that's a $791,000, and then of that, we have this mandate to provide employment and training services. We have different ways that we pay for all our staffing, so those staff that you have approved over the years for all of the MNsure pieces of what we do in the METs from our side, separate category. But this is that umbrella, and then the big piece of that is clearly the MRCI contract for employment and training services.
Isn't that what's the Blue Earth County Employment Services?
Right.
Which is a organization attached to MRCI.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yep. It's a contract we hold with.
And they work a lot with a lot of our local immigrants population.
Definitely, yeah. It's really an interesting piece, which we'd be willing to dive into as much detail as needed, but in all of financial assistance, there's like 33 programs, I think, that we manage. And so these budgets, how they come and how they fragment out is pretty complex story when you bundle it all up. Part of our mission of administrative simplification is to try to use common rules, which haven't been the case, and try to streamline some of this administration, because what happened is, people have an idea that's probably a good idea, they build a program around it with criteria, and then it kind of sits over here, and that's one of 33. Well, we'd like to have some of those rules, like how you count assets, how you look at income, how you look at family size, have them all kind of be under the same rules so it's not so complex, because it's really hard to unbundle some of how the workflow goes.
Well, I think they do a pretty good job.
I think they do.
They work in, let's see, Owatonna.
Yep.
I think Waseca maybe.
Absolutely, yep. And Marcia Hyam, I think, is very good at what she does. She has a great reputation. So you're right.
She's the executive director.
Yep. And you're right, Commissioner, that I think they do very good work. We have always had a low maintenance relationship.
Very busy.
Yes.
And we're not aware of it probably that much, but there's a lot going on there.
There's a lot going on.
They moved their offices into the Vine building over here.
Right.
So I don't know, maybe the third floor or something, I can't remember.
I don't know where exactly.
They had to expand their office space.
Right.
So they stay very busy.
It's an important mission.
They have most of that floor now?
No, maybe half.
Maybe half?
Probably right.
That could be.
Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty big, each floor. Yeah, it's a lot going on there.
Yes, sir.
All right. Vance?
I gotta say that I am concerned with the detox center. I'm concerned with the 12.6% increase.
Right.
In the back of my mind, I'm thinking this is in direct relation to the Yellow Line project. Is so we are sending less people there, and they're going to charge us more.
Right.
It's still a great deal.
Right.
And the Yellow Line project is doing great things. I mean, it's not only financial that we're looking at, we're also looking at people getting the right help that they need for mental health. But I think it's something that we certainly need to keep an eye on.
Sure.
I know Will is directly related. He's on the board and chair this year, aren't you, Will?
Yeah.
And I understand why, and we definitely need them, but I think we need to keep a good look at what's happening. I mean, we're saving money here, but we're spending it over here. And obviously it's not all about money, because what's happening at the Yellow Line project is about people's mental health and getting people the proper, help that they need.
Right.
But in our sense, when we handle levies, we handle all these things, we do have to keep an eye on it. So just a point.
Fair.
The meeting, we have $40,000 loss this year on detox, and of course, we all know what happens if you lose money on a regular basis. It's going to go away, but Phil and Angie
Which
were
would
over.
cost us a lot more.
Yes.
Yes.
Phil and Angie were over yesterday. We had a very good meeting, talked about some alternative services that the Brown County Evaluation Center might provide that might compensate for the lower numbers in the detox. And Blue Earth County is not the only one that's got lower numbers. Everybody's got lower numbers, and I think we're more aware of these issues nationwide than we have been in the past. But I'm confident that as we move forward, they may be able to provide some other services that aren't currently available in this area that might help the people that use the Yellow Line and their bottom line.
That'd be a plus.
Phil and Angie are very much on top of that. I'm watching it like a hawk. And so we, we'll stay on it.
I appreciate all your work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too, Will. Thank you.
All right. I think we have a motion in front of us.
Yep, you got a motion and a second already.
Yep. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair, Commissioners, just a couple of discussion items, informational items for you that are pretty straightforward, although there is some pieces of it that I want to make sure I convey to the board clearly. The first of those being our Child Care Assistance Program. There's a spreadsheet in your packet that looks at kind of the average number of families that we serve, around 150 a month, and then the expenses that go along with those supports for child care, averaging around $70,000 a month. You'll see in the bottom of the spreadsheet kind of the complexity. This is we have several areas that are very difficult to manage, and it kind of shows itself here where we receive an allocation. We have to then allocate that out based on an allocation. And then of course people don't use all their allocation. And so what you have to do is manage, basically over encumber the amount, which you see down there, and a projected variance of $56,000 of overspending, which I will guarantee the board will not happen. We're on track to be within a 1% margin, so I like our position in that regard. The problem is that over the last couple of years, because we have not had a waiting list in our community and other communities have had waiting lists, they're trying to negotiate the pool, which I'm sure you've heard at AMC and other places with Micah, that trying to make sure that the resources get out best we can. The reality for us as we look to the future is in 2017 we had a $30,000 reduction. 2018 we'll have a $53,000 reduction, and then we're likely to spend all of what we're allocated. That puts us back into a waiting list situation, which I have mixed feelings about. I like from a business aspect that we're spending everything we're given. That's important. But on the other hand, to then make the margin so skinny that we put people on a waiting list and that they can't even access the services is our reality. That's what we're looking at into the future. So much like this detox issue and if you push on one side of the plate, something falls off the other, how do we find the balance? We're back into a very tight margin here with childcare and trying to figure that out. This is related to the second slide, and you'll see our two areas of licensing, and I'm sure you've also heard about this as it ripples through our community. I know Commissioner Campbell reached out and was interested in what it takes to be licensed, in that case, as a daycare facility, but also for foster care. Very important pieces to our core mission. You'll see this very simple graphic that tells a picture of how things are going. The newly licensed homes under family daycare licensing have gone down from 16 to 17, and the number of daycare homes overall have also been reduced. This is about retirements from some of our longtime providers. That's a piece of it. But it's also about the financial viability of daycare, the margins there. If you're saying, I'm going to go into the daycare business, I think there's no secret that you're not going to make a lot of money. It's more mission than it is about money. But then the biggest one of all, which I'm sure you've heard of, is the increased regulations. And so in childcare specifically, that includes, these are new elements that are added to a pretty long list of regulations. But we need a defined emergency plan for each daycare. There's an annual site inspection rather than every other year. And then there's a fingerprinting issue that you've maybe seen in the news about anybody in that home needs to be fingerprinted and identified, which is onerous. Some of that's about a teenage child that lives in the home that needs to be fingerprinted. And so there's a lot of wiggling going on politically about that, which I think got passed at the end of last session. And I know some state legislators are willing to relook at that issue. So I think this concern about the regulation and the balance there is valid. I think we are seeing it to be a harder and harder business to encourage people to be in. And foster care is only a slightly different story. I think there's more regulation there. You'll see our numbers in this slide. Newly licensed home has gone down. Number of child foster care homes overall has also gone down. But this last piece, and this separates itself a little bit from the daycare issue, 18 homes are licensed as relative care. There's a lot more volatility in this picture, and so I'm a little less concerned about the foster care picture, because people will often become licensed temporarily because they have a child, an in-law, nephew, niece, or something they're going to do relative care for a period of time, and then they're going to get out. Other families are interested in adopting. They'll open a foster care license, go through all of those pieces, and then once the adoption's finalized, they're out. And so there's a lot more ups and downs about the volatility in the numbers, their fluctuations. But again, we've had providers move out in this past year. We always lose some to private licensing, meaning outfits like Lutheran Social Services, which also license foster cares. And then I mentioned some of the others about adoptions and other things like that. We do serve, obviously, children outside of our county and some of our foster cares as well, depending on the situation. So, you know, it's not a rosy picture, it's not a bad picture. It is a core part of our mission, much like when we were talking about employment and training. It's a big deal to what we're doing as far as supporting people financially. Foster care and daycare licensing is a really important piece of our mission. So that's really what I had to present, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any further comments or questions? Okay, appreciate the thorough report.
So, I don't know if you were here earlier, Phil, but I attended that one listening session that they had about on the 13th.
Yes.
And that was over at the Vine Building.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the name of the organization. Do you know the name of the organization that's helping to organize it? It's a fairly local grassroots group of people. I have the name here. I just can't find it right now. And they're documenting things, and they're recording things and trying to move forward with trying to help bring support to the daycare dilemma is what I would call it. It's a daycare dilemma.
Yep.
One of them we know of as going to mayors and clerks and Region 9 Development Commission, and I've heard all these different things. Even through AMC, I think there's some stuff about the shortages that we have of daycare centers. And why is that? Mm-hmm. What might be one reason for it? Mm-hmm. And from what I'm hearing is that it's turning into such a complexity.
Yeah, it's all the regulations that they added on.
They're adding all these regulations without involving the daycare providers.
Sure.
So all these decisions are coming forward. And normally, the best outcomes you can have when you're putting together new programming or new regulations, things like that, is like right now we're doing the land use plan, right? For 6 months, 8 months, we've been trying to get feedback from the community about anything they'd like to see in the land use plan. Well, that doesn't happen with the daycare centers. Mm-hmm. From what I understand, there's zero energy being put forward to try to get feedback when they make these changes in legislation. There's a report of some abuse or something that goes on in one of the daycares. The legislators are pressured by a special interest group or something, and then boom, they come down with these different things right away without actually trying to involve maybe more voices. And so some of them aren't renewing their licenses, not because they necessarily want to not renew them, they're just sick of it.
Well, it's just the cost to all that, and then they can't do the things they did before, like, especially home daycare, and stuff.
It's
A lot of
really
them,
changed.
they'll just retire early and stuff because they don't
just
need
get
the
out of it.
hassle, because they
Tired.
can't even do all the it's kind of an overreaction by, various.
And then they described in detail what it's going to be like for families and all these people that go to the daycare. Some of these kids, taking them and they not only fingerprint, they take a photograph too, so it's like a mug shot. So you're basically getting your fingerprint and mug shot. Is basically what it is. So some of the kids are really affected by that. Apparently, it really makes them wonder what's going on. And so there needs to be some more efforts towards education, giving maybe some funds even to the daycare centers to help educate them before all these regulations are implemented. I don't know if you, because I mean there's an impact there.
There is.
And then I know we were talking about here with mayors, of course, trying to do that $10,000 for in-home care licensing if they want to start one. If they want to start one rurally, up to $35,000, which I don't think is off the table yet. I don't know if we've got the details on that. But
Still working on it.
Still working on it. But the bottom line is, those packets are pretty big. And how would you guys like it if you've been working hard and trying to get training, which is a huge issue. They might offer training over in like Marshall for Mankato on a certain topic that everybody here has to have, and yet still provide daycare or try to figure out how to get them taken care of during that day training. They have to drive over to Marshall to get the training, or they might have to drive up to Brainerd because it's only offered there.
That's right.
Instead of having it going around the state and having it offered. So training is a huge issue for them.
Well, I thought some online training was coming.
There's some, but
I
not-
can't remember who was
Yeah.
working on that, but some
But that would
online,
make
which would
sense,
be much
Commissioner.
more conducive.
Oh, yeah.
All those things.
I just want
Yeah.
to tell the board that if you sit there and listen to these people, mostly women, there's a few men that have daycare centers.
Yeah.
There's one locally that runs a nice daycare center.
Yeah.
It's a lot bigger than we can even talk about right here. It's a very big issue. And
It's not only trying to get them to know some of the rules, whatever, but they could scale back a bit. You got people with these daycare I know that talk to that they don't even take them outside hardly or go to a park or anything because they're kind of,
you have to have so many staff to go with them.
yeah, and they
Concerned what
have
could
to.
happen.
They make it so hard that they basically sit in front of the television, whatever. I mean, it's
Well,
like
they're required to provide programming, and of course the safety trainings and all those kind of things. But I'll just tell you what's like. There's a difference between the home licensure, which the county does.
Right.
Right.
The feedback I got about that was at least a little more positive. I'm telling you, from our county, our workers develop a relationship and rapport with
Yes,
the in-home
absolutely.
licensure.
Yep.
The ones that really, and those still have issues with training.
Yeah.
But it's the daycare centers, they're a little bit larger, they have, the state comes down, kind of like when they come into let's say, security hospital to do an inspection, or they come down into a nursing home to do an inspection. Now they have the same kind of people coming down into the
That's
daycare
right.
centers, cold call from what I understand.
Yep. That's
And
right.
they might be planning to go somewhere, might be planning something else that day, and it completely disrupts the entire day, or it could be during nap time, and then it wakes up everybody. There's just no connection.
Yep.
They feel like between the state and what's happening on the ground where they're
Sure.
working. Their business.
Yep.
It's a business.
Right.
So then they get cited because I'll just tell you, several of them told me this.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough Play-Doh. Okay, and you get fined. It's not just cited, you get fined.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they go into the legislative statute, or whatever it is that they have, regulation, for how much Play-Doh they're supposed to have in their daycare. And the definition is adequate amount. So whatever the inspector that comes down from the state says, well, I don't think you have an adequate amount, so I'm just going to give you this citation. Do you see what I mean?
I do.
So there has to be some kind of a panel or something, or an organization of daycare providers where there's some go-between here between the state and the counties.
Right.
Or we can get some information exchange. How would you like it if your wife's been working for years, kept as a daycare provider, and then she gets cited because there's not enough Play-Doh for the kids, but yet there's no definition for what enough Play-Doh is. That's how nitpicky it's getting.
No,
I'm just saying.
it's just gotten worse, because it's always been, I remember years ago when I was in the legislature, you had still had problems, but it's just much more now because of all the molesting or whatever that's happened, yeah.
Right, there's a lot of.
Well, you hit it right on the head when you said some incident happens in the legislature.
Right.
Yeah.
It's been,
Legislature decides to legislate it, you know.
That's what it is, Will.
Yeah.
And it's really harming them. So if we want to, I think the counties might have to get involved because it's affecting our community. So I would like to ask the board and Phil or whoever if we could have a special time sometime to talk about it, because it's affecting our community. It's going to have a long-term ripple effect for our employment, workforce, everything.
Sure.
There's people out there right now that have to drive their kids 40, 50 miles to daycare.
Were you at the Mayors and Clerks down in Amboy when the lady was there? Excellent presentation.
Yeah.
Yep,
I mean,
she gave a good.
Yeah, we really need to reach out to our legislators, you know,
and they were there.
show
I mean,
concerns.
our three local ones.
Yeah.
But I mean, something's got to happen. I don't know, because it's affecting us locally. So these decisions in St. Paul, the ripple effect is, if you have a job that you like to do and you want your kids someplace, and you got to drive them 40, 50 miles, you're probably going to leave the community and go somewhere where you can find daycare, find a different job. If you have to.
Every community has
has an issue with it.
Yeah, this isn't a Mankato issue or an Amboy issue or a Good Thunder issue or this is a.
I think it's nationwide.
This is not only statewide but nationwide, and you know it's the same thing as elderly care and health care and stuff. There's just no money, you know. And the thing is, I think Blue Earth County has taken the lead. We put out the grants. We put out. I mean, Will has been working very hard to try to get stuff around the rural areas, and that's positive. But you're absolutely right. I agree with you, and I think.
What can we do though, Vance?
I don't know what we can do except
what can we actually functionally do?
Try to pressure our legislators. That's all we can do. I mean, we don't have the ability here as a county board, unless we want to dish some money in.
Yeah.
But we don't have that ability. We need to try to pressure the state legislators as much as we can to try to improve what's happening.
One suggestion I might have, just from a staff perspective, and to Bob and you all, one thing I did when this came, because I always get uncomfortable that I'm representing staff well to you all, because we have a lot of different missions that we do. So to this one, when this came up in the fingerprinting issue and the photos, I asked Ann Broskoff, who's in charge of our licensors, I said, tell me your comfort level. Licensors are a certain breed of cat. They tend to look at that regulation and say, how do I assure safety? And even our licensors, local licensors, care about that issue. And I said, is there wiggle room? I said, have we found a balance, or is there room to kind of push back to this issue? And she said, coming from that perspective, because I said I wanted to be informed when I tell you all where staff are looking at, is that I think even our licensors, who tend to be a little more black and white in how they look at some of these issues, are open to that conversation. And that might be a next step, is even a board work session or something like that, where we could bring them, and at least they could tell you what's it like when they do an inspection from a local perspective. You're right about corporate inspections are done by the state, but that local piece, we could say, are there areas where we could be more specific about statewide? I agree with you, Commissioner, that it's a statewide issue to kind of tweak some of those things and soften it, so it's not a deterrent, because it's a really important mission to our mission. We're very dependent on our providers big time. Yeah.
So, and I agree with you, Phil, on that. Piggyback on there, a lot of times counties are given the authority to do the licensing. Like now we're doing it in-home. I haven't checked statutorily if it's possible, maybe for the county to decide to take it on, so we would do the daycare centers too. So that way there would be this local relationship building, and understanding what's happening in those daycare centers, and they're working on issues instead of every time a state inspector comes out that's never been there before or something. You know what I mean? So, so it's nice to. I think it'd be something to look at. I asked Phil on the phone yesterday if maybe we could look at if there's even a potential for something like that.
Sure.
You know,
But that'd be a change, wouldn't it, in the law? Right?
Yeah, I think
talking
that's
state
Commissioner's
regulated.
issue is most of these are all regulated issues, but I think we can push back and
well, I don't know
that
if it's a change in
relationship
law
side.
because I haven't looked at it, Mark.
Well, then it's change, it's based on a law, and then they promulgate the regulations, and then you gotta change the regulations.
But sometimes there's options in there that we don't see.
There might,
That says you can take over that authority. Like I can tell you right now, we don't do the board or lodging, restaurants, bars, all that kind of stuff. We don't do those inspections, but a lot of counties do.
they do.
And so we could take that authority on as a board. And I've heard that it's actually, it pays for itself easily. So instead of just leaving it on the state to do all this locally around here, we could take on all of the bars, all the restaurants, and all of the lodging, and not have the state do that inspection. So I'm just comparing that, because that is something that actually.
That would be easy enough to find out. That's all I'm saying.
I would hope so.
Yeah, we
And
can
I mean,
find
maybe
out.
someday we should look at
Well, yeah.
why we don't take on the lodging and the
We'd
restaurants
find
too.
out. I suspect it isn't quite the same, but that's.
Oh,
we
no,
could
no,
challenge
but
it, yeah.
similar.
Yeah.
I'm talking, referring, like you said, with health and all that, where
Yeah.
we opt out, but I don't know. That's why it's a good thing
Could
to
be
find out.
similar.
It'd be a good work session.
Yeah.
Let's bring
Or at
it up
least-
in the future.
Yep.
Yeah, because they're really suffering.
A
some of these
time that
daycare
we
centers.
we can really dedicate time to it, and instead of
Well, as
that'd
soon
be
as we
great.
can.
Okay. All right. We have Jay. Welcome back. You're looking good.
Welcome back.
Well-
I never left.
Well, you were.
We
doing
haven't
all your
seen you
farming
for a
in the
while.
tractor.
Yeah, you were gone working.
Sorry.
I think last time there was somebody here that gave the report in your place.
Yeah, Darren.
We had Darren several times.
Yeah.
We had several times, because that's why it's so welcome
Yeah,
back, because
and
we
Darren,
missed you.
He was, congratulations to him too. He was just elected to the school board.
Really
Yeah,
good.
So that was
Good news.
Yep.
Chair and Commissioners, the Human Service Advisory Committee met on November 9th. We had Ann Roscoff, who is the supervisor of Child and Family Services here in Lewis County, give us a brief update. Some things she talked about were intake, gather information, screening, review report with screening team, make needed contacts, review of past reports, and child protection involvement. They said to screen in or out, and also cross-reference with law enforcement. We have to give credit to Commissioner Campbell, who came and attended our meeting that night. Thank you.
Yeah, it was good. I asked if I could come a little more often once in a while because I'm involved with some of that human service stuff. It'd be good to keep on top of that.
Under mental health, we had a couple of items. Brian Guess was stepped down as chair of the RMT in 2018. There are a few people interested in that. Also, the Minnesota State Legislature has directed DHS to redesign case management services funded by medical assistants in an effort to standardize case management services. Also, the group took a tour of the Prairie Care Facility. The facility is located here in Mankato and provides an intensive outpatient program for adolescents suffering from a severe episode of mental illness. There's currently a waiting list for the program. under social services, parenting education program offers have been proven to be successful. Two of the education programs that were discussed include Love and Logic, which gives education in a group setting, and parent-child interaction therapy, which directs parents how to interact with their children. Mike McLaughlin, Director of Veteran Services here in Blue Earth County, gave a presentation of the resources available to veterans, which include claims assistance, benefits counseling, transportation, mental health assistance, and general advocacy. Current Chair Kristen Nett has decided to forego as chair in 2018. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jay. Yeah, great. All right. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, good Thanksgiving.
Good seeing you,
Well,
Jay.
that's right.
Yep.
Happy Thanksgiving. I forgot to add anything.
You too.
Are you just about done in the fields, or you got a little left to go?
We're done.
You're done. Good for you.
We're just getting little stuff. You know, cleaning, getting everything ready to store
Good. Yep. Good for you.
for next year, which
Yep.
will be a fun year.
You get all those cookies eaten that they dropped off at your house?
I'm not gonna comment on that, but
private information.
you know, possibly.
Good for you.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. Okay, I think all we have is the financial status report, am I correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chair. It's item number 6 in your packet. This is the financial status report through October 31st, so we just have a couple of months left in our fiscal year. You'll see that the total revenues are less than our total expenditures at this point in the year, which again is not uncommon, with the second half property taxes showing up in November. So we are showing about a $6 million deficit at this point in the year, but quite frankly, based on where our budget was expecting us to be at this point, we're doing better than expected in that regard. Two of the lines that stand out really are the other financing sources on the revenue side, and the debt service on the expenditure side. Those numbers are higher than expected as we've looked at and completed the Justice Center refinancing. So we did take in bonding revenue, and we had to pay off the previous bonding debt. So that's why that is different than what was anticipated with our budget. Other than that, most everything is running pretty well in line. I would point out the transportation sales tax. We're just under $5 million at this point in the year, which is right on track for the $6 million budget that we set for 2017. So we are doing well as a community in terms of that revenue source, and I think you know, in this particular case, our budget's going to be very close to where.
Everybody do their Christmas shopping.
In Mankato and
Blue
not
Earth
online.
County.
Yeah.
Don't say Mankato. We have a
Well,
lot
Blue
of
Earth County, I mean, but not
Blue Earth
online.
County, you know.
At the bottom of that page is the enterprise fund, which is again the Ponderosa landfill. Here again, our expenses are slightly over our revenue at this point in the year. Not surprising given the cell development that has occurred. So we have a 1.1 million in land improvements as we prepare those additional cells to be utilized into the future. The second page includes cash balances. Our total available funds are at 97.5 million, pretty close to where we were last year at this point. We'll point out again that the Ponderosa long-term dedicated account was added, so if you were to remove that particular source of funds, we would slightly be down from the year before. So all in all, I think things are where we want it to be. We're going to use less fund balance than we anticipated if everything continues over the course of the next couple of months, but all in all, I think it's a positive situation.
All right. Any other comments?
Looks good.
Yeah, looks all right. Well, with that, we'll just, we adjourn, because, we have to adjourn, so, we'll move to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Good.